All right, everyone. We are live, we are recording, and you are in the third session for GoDaddy's Small Business Week. And right now, we're joined by the amazing, talented AI enthusiast, nature loving Alycia Leno. Today, we're going to be going over unraveling the mysteries of generative AI for small businesses. But what I'm most excited about this one for is Alicia's going to be letting us in on her secrets with AI. And if you've met her, if you've talked to her for even a few minutes, she strongly encourages us to use AI, anyone to use AI, to give it a try. Don't be scared. And so, with that, today, we're going to be turning it over to her. She's going to be going over some tips and tricks on how to make sure you're using it in an ethical way, you're using new technology, but more importantly, you're doing it in the right way. Sometimes breaking a little bit of the rules, but we're not going to go there today. But excited about this mind blowing session. And welcome to Zoom, Alycia. We're going to turn it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jeffrey. And yes, I'm so excited to be part of this amazing group of folks from our GoDaddy community for small business on LinkedIn for Small Business Week. And I'm really excited to share with folks some of the ways that you can use AI to support your business and give you some demos of some really cool stuff. So for those of you who have used generative AI, feel free to be active in the chat. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and get into it. All right. So first of all, just want to give folks a quick intro. I'm the content marketing director at GoDaddy. As Jeffrey mentioned, I'm an AI enthusiast, not an expert. I'm also the wife of a newer small business owner. So my husband started an auto detail shop in June of last year. So we're getting ready for his 1 year. So it's been obviously very challenging. That first year is always a little difficult. And so I've been using AI a lot to help him with his business. I'm also a mom of a 2-year-old who probably one day is going to be working with AI the way that we work with like Google and our mobile phones. So I'm really excited about this topic and sharing it all with you. So first of all, I'd love to hear from anybody in the chat if you've been using AI already, and have you been using ChatGPT? Have you been using other tools? Just kind of curious where we're starting off with. So feel free to put anything in the chat and let me know. And then I just have to give a quick disclaimer because this stuff is really new. We are excited to recommend it, but it is in its infancy still. AI has existed for a long time, even before ChatGPT was introduced about 1.5 years ago. And its effectiveness really varies depending on the circumstances. So with any AI tool, you want to make sure you're not avoiding sensitive information because a lot of them save your input and use it to train their models. And you also want to review the output to make sure that it's accurate and that it's up to date. Also, I'm going to be demoing a number of third-party tools, and GoDaddy is not affiliated, endorsed, or sponsored by OpenAI, Midjourney, or any of these tools that we're going to demonstrate in the following presentation. All right, so one more quick thing before we get into the main content. I'd love for you all to help me improvise. And Jeffrey, like I said, I'm going to keep you busy dropping links and also keeping up in the chat for any examples of things like business types, products, brand things about tone and voice and style and audiences that we may want to target. And that will really help us get the most out of this presentation. And it can be a lot of fun. So have fun if you want to talk about your own business or if you want to make some stuff up. Sometimes people like to throw out really weird stuff, and that can be really fun to play with. And so just a quick overview of what I'm going to cover today. First, we're going to start off with a deeper dive into the limitations of AI and responsible use, which is really important when you're working with this new and really exciting technology. Then we'll get into the fun stuff, which is the demo of a couple of different tools that are out there. And then I'll get a little bit into how this stuff works and demystify a little bit of how AI actually, generative AI specifically, does what it does. And then we'll end with a few tips, tools, and resources for you to keep learning. And then we'll have some time for questions and answers. So feel free to drop questions in the chat. There is a Q&A box as well. And we'll just get into it. So first of all, there are a few things that are important to keep in mind whenever you're using AI. The first one, as we covered a little in the disclaimer, is that you always want to manually review the AI-generated content for accuracy. Some models are only up to date up to a certain date. So it might be, April of 2023 is the last time the model was trained. So you might not be able to pull information. Some models, some tools are able to scan the internet and pull more up-to-date information. But you need to fact check, right? You want to make sure that anything that is in the output, that you stand behind it. And just know that ChatGPT and other tools like this, those sort of generative AI chatbots, they do what's called hallucination, and they just make stuff up. So they'll fill in the blank sometimes, because the whole point of an AI, a generative AI tool, is to make an educated guess based on its context. And again, never enter any sensitive or confidential information. So anything that you don't want, out there, I wouldn't put in. We can use AI for a ton of things without having to share potentially confidential information about your business. This includes things like people's names, any PII, that sort of thing. And as I remember from my Sakuri security days, there is no such thing as a 100% secure system. So it's possible that these tools can be attacked, and then some of the data that you've put in there may be made public. So just something to keep in mind. Lots of use cases without having to get into any of that sensitive information. Another one that's really important to think about is, AI computers, they lack emotional intelligence. And so content in some tools can be discriminatory and sometimes can generate toxic content. So a lot of these AI providers are doing a lot of work to make sure that they're not providing those kinds of content. But it is possible, to pollute a training data set. And we've seen this already happen a couple times in the news where, weird results are being produced, or people are able to trick AI into saying really horrible things. So just want to be careful. And then with intellectual property, this is obviously an evolving area, but you want to be careful. Answers that you're getting from chatbots, for example, may contain copyrighted work. They may contain content from competitors or other proprietary sources. So you want to use your judgment and ultimately consult with your legal advisor when it comes to using any generated content. Cool. I love the chat being active here. And I see some people are already sort of power AI users, so you might have to test my mettle here. All right, so first thing, today you can use AI to revolutionize how you do content marketing, and that's my area of focus, and it's an area that a lot of small businesses struggle with. So things like automating your content creation, optimizing SEO, personalizing the user experience, and unlocking insights in your data and analysis, and also just streamlining your workflows and prioritizing and planning. AI can be really helpful for that. It can also really be helpful on the design side. It can help you with generating images. It can even generate music. There's some really cool tools I've learned about later if you want to ask in the Q&A. Happy to get into it. I'm going to demo how you can create icons as well and create graphics using AI art tools. And you can also, some of these tools create awesome infographics and can even generate presentations. For example, this presentation was generated with AI. I mean, you knew that, right? Come on. So this is an example with the Gamma app where, I was able to kind of tweak the content, but you can just give it a prompt and it'll create a whole presentation for you. You can add cards with AI, all that kind of stuff. So there's a ton of different tools out there for different use cases. Okay, with all that, now we're ready to get into the demo part. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with ChatGPT. Y'all know it, y'all love it. And I am currently using ChatGPT 4. So this is the pay for version. 3.5 is awesome, and that's what you can get for free. So you can go to chat.openai.com to sign up if you don't already have a free OpenAI account. It's awesome. It's free. Highly recommend using it. Their mobile app is amazing. If you have the paid subscription, you can talk to it and it talks back to you in a voice of your choosing. It's really neat. So I use GPT-4 because it does have a lot more training data context. So generally the answers are better, but in our AI prompt library, we have designed all these prompts to be able to be used with the free version 3.5. And so if you go to smallbusinessprompts.com, I see Jeffrey has already thrown it into the chat. You can get to our blog where we have this page for our prompt library. And this will actually be getting an overhaul quite soon with about 5 new categories getting added. And we're also going to be redesigning it for better UX. So look out for that. It should be coming down in the next couple of weeks. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with grabbing one of these prompts and just demonstrating how to use this and how you can copy and paste them in here. One of the things we recently did to refresh the prompt library, for those that are familiar with it, is we removed all variables. So it used to be like, my industry is XYZ and my audience is blah, blah, blah. That's actually not in the prompts. And now they're all written in such a way that the first thing ChatGPT is going to do is ask you a question or a series of questions to give you the best possible output. And we found that this has been producing much, much better output for folks. So the first thing I'm going to do is go down into our starting a business category. And we're going to look at an awesome prompt that we have for finding cost-effective marketing strategies. Who doesn't love that, right? So there's a little click to copy button here. You can press that, go back to ChatGPT, Control V and paste it in. And it's already in here. And I'll just quickly read it out for you all. Act as an expert growth-focused marketing strategist. This is the role that you're giving the AI assistant. Suggest 5 cost-effective marketing strategies for a business to expand its customer base. These strategies should consider the nature of the industry, the target audience, and the resources likely available to such a business. Before you start, ask a few questions about the business. So I've already given it an idea of like, ask me about the industry, target audience, and resources available. So this is where I'm going to ask all of you to help me answer the questions that come up. So as you can see, it gets to work right away, quickly generating an answer to the question. And so it wants to know a little bit about the products and services. So I have a bunch of examples I've generated if people are shy, but if folks want to throw out, you know, we don't have to answer all of these questions, but we should answer some of them. So anybody got some ideas, ad lib here that we can throw into ChatGPT to answer these questions, and then it will generate those marketing strategies for us. So the first one I have up is, a candle company. Of course, Jonathan. Oh my gosh, scented candles. So we are a scented candle company. We specialize in autumn scents. Where are they located? Are they an e-commerce business? Located in Vermont. And we offer international e-commerce. Target audience is who? Do we care? Target audience is, let's say, Gen Z women. We have tried, I'm just answering the questions now. We've tried social media marketing on G and TikTok. Don't worry about your spelling either. It'll fix all that for you. How about a budget? Anybody got an idea for goals or budget? So we're looking to maybe boost sales. Looking to boost sales and have a budget, let's say 10K. Okay, just go for it. Oh, Jeffrey's like $300. Okay, we can try it again. And the fun thing is if you don't like the answer, you can ask it to regenerate with different information. So as you can see, it's already going ahead and taking all the context we provided to come up with some really great options. So influencer collaborations, you know, seasonal email marketing campaigns, obviously, since we mentioned autumn, focusing on lifestyle. So it's pulling what we know about the audience, about the different platforms that we've mentioned and the different formats we could try and achieve. Sales and interactive social media campaigns. So if there's anything in the answers that you're like, how do I do that? You can just ask. Great, Marsha, I'm going to totally do yours next. Thank you for providing a very, very thorough prompt. That's awesome. And then, so you can just ask and say, how would you recommend we go about interactive social media campaigns? Please provide a project plan. And break it down by role in a table format. So you can ask for it to generate tables, lists. You can ask for it to generate images with ChatGPT-4. You can ask it to create code. A lot of web developers are using it now. And then it's going to give a lot of ability, sort of like an intro here. And then it'll start to actually build out a table that you can like copy and paste into your favorite spreadsheet tool. There you go. All right, so it's got a little plan out here for us, which is really awesome. And it'll, if anything here doesn't jive, you can just go ahead and ask it to modify and it'll regenerate the output for you. All right, so another one that's really fun, and I'm going to go with Marsha's here, is to do a content calendar, right? We all need help with our content. So I'm going to go ahead and jump back into the AI prompt library, and we have a whole section for content marketing, content creation rather. And then I'm going to generate a content calendar. So some of these prompts, oh my gosh, some of these prompts I have not tested since we've updated them all. So I'm going to actually start a new chat here and say, act as an insightful content creator, develop a listicle that offers valuable tips or insights about a topic, Content must be easy to read, solve a problem, or answer questions. Ensure the content is actionable before you start asking a few questions. So it's going to go ahead. I'm just going to copy in everything that Marcia said without reading it and hope for the best here. So we're a mindset coach, audiences, women and men over 50 to reinvent themselves, tips for posts or ways to help them. Make it sound in the tone of Mel Robbins and sound like a human. Give me simple and plain language in 1,000 words and give me a call to action. So this worked out really well for this prompt. I'm going to go ahead and just put that in there. Notice I didn't even look at the questions. I just pasted it in. So don't feel like you have to answer everything. The more you can provide, the better the output is going to be. And here you go. It's going to go ahead and generate some content for us. And it's just going to be 1,000 words approximately. And if there's anything in here that you're like, oh, this isn't my tone of voice, like it needs to be a little bit more XYZ, you can totally say that. In fact, I've had a lot of fun saying like, I want it to be 80% educational, supportive tone of voice, maybe 20% humorous. And the style of humor is like witty, not silly. So you can really get really, really granular with how you're asking it to generate content. And as we mentioned, just make sure that you stand behind what you're generating. If you're going to go throw this on your blog, don't just like copy and paste and not read it. Please, please read it. Make sure that it feels like you, it feels like something you would stand behind. Ultimately, what you're doing is you're sort of outsourcing this brain. It's like hiring an assistant or hiring an employee who can do this stuff for you. And they're taking inspiration from their massive training set. Yeah. All right. So I think that the prompt that I wanted is actually the generated content calendar one. So I'm going to go ahead and throw this one in here for this same business type. And I think in here, I want to definitely format it as a table. I'm going to just remove this last little bit about before you go, ask me any questions because we've already answered a bunch. So it's going to account for holidays, industry events, and unique content needs for each platform. And here's a structured plan that we asked for. We asked for blog, Instagram, and Facebook. And so there you go. It's just going to start generating some ideas for you. You can take or leave anything you like here. Yeah. Yeah, it's really great. I mean, this is a tool, right? It's blank page syndrome doesn't exist anymore. Like you have an assistant who can help you, and it doesn't even matter. You don't need to use crazy prompts like what we have in here. These have been tested and created by a number of prompt engineers that we've worked with, as well as AI enthusiasts at GoDaddy. And so this is really great. I love how it's taking in a lot of the context that we were providing it. Everything that we said before in Marcia's prompt was great. All right. One more quick demo, and then I'm going to free write a prompt here and use it for the next part of the demo. So let's move on to the social media section. And if anybody has a section, they're like, I really want to demo this, like go ahead and throw it in. I'm happy to extend the time a little bit on this part because ChatGPT is probably one of the more accessible tools. So let's get some captions for some of this content. All right, and we'll click to copy button right there. Sweet. All right. Act as a skilled copywriter, provide guidelines for writing captivating social media captions. So it's gonna start by providing like an overview of what makes a good caption, share techniques for creating attention-grabbing hooks, storytelling elements, and calls to action, offer detailed and actionable advice on tailoring captions to specific platforms, empower me as an entrepreneur to craft compelling captions that enhance engagement and drive desired actions, then provide 5 examples in the desired tone. I will keep this in just because I'm curious now that I'm using these back to back to see what questions it's going to ask me, given it has a lot of context already. Within one chat, it'll remember everything. And they just released an update so that as you use ChatGPT in general, it'll remember context from other conversations and your preferences. Okay, tone of voice of your brand. We already mentioned it's Mel Robbins. Mel Robbins. What are main goals? Goals to increase brand awareness. Preferred platforms. IG and Facebook, let's say. Certain types of posts. And then I'm not even gonna say that. Nothing I want to highlight. Let's just go with that. So you notice I missed the last 2 questions. No biggie. It's just going to do whatever it can. Oh, look, This is the part I was just explaining. So now forevermore, when I use ChatGPT, it's going to remember that I want to use Mel Robbins' voice. So I'm pretty sure that you can go here and manage that. And I probably will later. Or I'll just deal with it because I love Mel Robbins, and why not? So it's going to go ahead, like I mentioned, starting off with the guidelines as we requested. And then eventually it's going to get to the part where it's actually going to produce captions for us. So I've often done this where I'm posting something. I'm like, hey, I have a post that's this with an image of this. What captions would you recommend? And, the more you can provide it with details, or like I said, add that question to all of your prompts where before you start, ask me a few questions so you can provide the best results possible. That little bit at the end of your prompts is gonna produce much better results for you. All right, so here we go. Instagram, ever felt like you're too old to start something new? Spoiler alert, you're not. Drop a yes in the comments if you're ready to defy the odds. Now that sounds almost exactly like Mel Robbins, so I love this. And it's got a little explanation of the hook, of the storytelling elements. It's even putting in emojis. So I just love this use case for AI. All right, cool. Next thing I'm going to do is ask you to give me another industry. So if somebody wants to throw something in, I don't know if Jeffrey, if I've missed any, but I'm going to go ahead. I can grab from my list as well. Yeah, it's like discovering Google all over again. Totally. It's like a totally crazy Google, right? So what we're going to do now, the next part of the demo, I'm going to jump over into a tool called GPT for Sheets that's going to allow me to use the power of ChatGPT in Google Sheets. And so this is actually based on a real use case that we did for the GoDaddy blog. But first I need to generate like 25 article types. So give me 25 article titles for a what business? Mike, okay, fine. You know what? No, I can't do that one I can't do that one on this demo for a marketing agency. Let's see, let's do the same thing. Ask me any questions to help make the output better before proceed. Okay. All right, to tailor the titles to your needs, let's focus a little bit more. So instead of a list of questions, it kind of just put it into a paragraph this time. So the focus of the marketing agency, let's say SEO agency, target audience is experienced creative. Is that right? That was Mike, so I'm gonna go with it. And let's just see what kind of titles it gives me. Here's 25 articles. Oh, if you ever see the word unleashed, you know it was ChatGPT. Just those who know. It's like one of its favorite, right? Like every time. Jeffrey's currently like, oh no, the webinar titles. Definitely some of them. Yes, we do use AI on my team. I kind of forced it after ChatGPT not came out, but 3.5 in December of 2022. Came back from the holidays and was like, you guys, our whole strategy for 2023 has to change. So I'm gonna go ahead and copy all these. I'm gonna throw them first of all into this little sheet here. So there's my titles. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to call on an extension here. So if you haven't added it already, you can go to add-ons and go to get add-ons and look for GPT for sheets and docs. And then you're going to find a couple different options. I think the one I use is this one by Talarian. Again, not endorsed, not recommended by GoDaddy or anything. This is my personal exploration. And so what you can do with it, it's got a really great reference on gptforwork.com in their docs. So there's a number of different functions that you can call into Sheets directly. And then they have all their available functions listed here. The documentation has enhanced a lot since the last time I did this webinar. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to use the tag function. So each of the different functions, this looks like a lot to look at, but it's telling you the syntax of what you need in the cell in order to produce the results. So in this case, you see there's like a value. If you want to include a range of tags to tag the articles with, you can do that. And I'll show that in a little bit. You can also let it automatically come up with the tags. So that's what I'm going to do. And then you can also specify some things. So for like top K is the number of tags that you want. So if you want 5 tags, you put a 5 here. Temperature, this is something that a lot of AI models use, and it's like a creativity score. So a number between 0 and 1. And I believe 1 is super not creative and 0 is very creative. I might have to double check my facts there. All right, where am I? I'm here. Okay, so because I've already got it added, when you go to it, open it up. And I hope it still has my API key, but if not, I can show you how to do that too. When you have ChatGPT in your settings, you're going to have an API key. I'm good. Continue without API key. Okay, you're trying to model without an API key. All right, let's see. See what happens if I don't do an API key. If I don't, we're going to get a better demo here. So I'm going to go GPT_tag and just see what happens here if it's going to go ahead and start tagging stuff. So I didn't even act. Oh, API tag. What did I need to have at least a couple things? It's been a hot minute since I've done this. Oh yeah, I need to reference a cell. GPT tag. This is what I want to tag. Okay, that's the very basics of what this function should be doing. All right, so it's gone ahead and put in some tags. Again, I didn't give it a top K. I'm guessing I'm using Tellurian's key right now, and so I just double click that, and it's going to go ahead and read every single one of these titles. You could do this with meta descriptions or anything else, and it's going to take a minute. It's just generating, based on this huge list, what the tags could be for this article, and this might help me think about the taxonomy for my site. So real world example, we have like almost 3,000 articles on the GoDaddy blog, and we completely redid our platform in June of last year. And prior to that, we had to go and think about how we're going to retag all of our articles. We have like something like 300 or 400 total tags and categories, and we got it down to, I think, like 15 categories and like 35 tags. And we probably wouldn't have been able to do it at all if it wasn't for this tool getting approved and allowing us to use it. So it was a huge time saver. We actually had a range of tags that we wanted to use. So in each of these cells right now, I've got the formula here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste the values so that it's not pasting. You can see there's the formula here. In here, I actually have the different tags that we've come up with. And so I can go ahead and choose from this list, or I can consolidate from this list which ones that I want to use, and then I can come up with a range. So if I want SEO, creative potential, voice search, case studies, let's see, writing, content creation, sales. I'm just grabbing a couple that I'm seeing here. Design. Okay, let's just go ahead and choose those, and then I'll just show off the other function that we used, which was GPT classify, or GPT. There it is. And so I want to classify this cell. I want to do it based on this range. Let me just double check my math here for GPT classify. So I'm classifying my title, and here's the range. So that's the minimum. There isn't any example here for temperature or anything. So that should be good enough. And now, instead of coming up with its own tags, it's going to go ahead and read this list of tags, and it's going to come up with the appropriate tags to put on this if one exists. And so it should only be pulling from this range that I've selected. And so this is how we got through 3,000 articles being reclassified on the GoDaddy blog. So much fun. So obviously there's endless potential for a tool like this. You could classify, you could put all of your feedback from your, Yelp or Google reviews in here and classify them as positive, negative, all that kind of stuff. And there's a ton of really great demos on the GPT for Work site as well that are really great at walking through this. They have videos for almost every section. So it's a really cool tool, but there's tons of stuff like this that's constantly being developed and added. And this is just one example of where it's going. And in the future, I see this not even being something you have to necessarily connect, but there's just going to be tools that can do this all for you. All right, so next one, we're going to hop over to Midjourney. And so this is going to be a lot of fun. So in the last time I did a demo like this, it was really great. We had a really fun image of a dragon on a beach delivering pizzas. So I'm going to let you all go ahead and think through some random stuff. Oh, before I do, back to here. I do want to show Midjourney, again, not affiliated. There's a really great section of their docs. It's an AI art tool. I can't show the showcase because I don't know what's in there right now, and I don't want to show anything potentially not for, that wouldn't be good to show on a webinar. So, but there is a wonderful showcase on the Midjourney website of like all the amazing stuff that's being generated by people constantly. You do need to use Discord to use Midjourney, but it is free to use as well. So they've got some advice here in their explore prompting section, and this might give you all some ideas of things to throw at me. So pick a medium, right? Do we want, blacklight painting? Do we want an acrylic pour, watercolor, any type of style of image photography? Okay, we're going to do acrylic pour. I know I'm into those videos on YouTube. They're like super oddly satisfying. Get specific. So, again, types of drawing, types of photography. We can do a time period. So if somebody wants to throw out, a time period for our acrylic pour image that we're about to make, you also need to specify a subject. Like, is it going to be a cat? Somebody throw me a subject in the chat. You want them to emote. What are they feeling? What is the subject doing? You want to be very specific. If you have colors in mind that you want to be seeing, and then where they are, what's their setting. So this is a much simplified version of AI art sort of guidance. We also have some awesome guides on the blog. I don't know if they're in our quick links. They're not, but we do have a section down here with some of our AI posts. We have a ton of AI content on our blog for guidance. All right, so with all that in mind, okay, looks like we're doing a 1960s panda at Woodstock with an acrylic pour. Are you guys ready for this? I don't know if you're ready for this. I don't know if I'm ready for this. Okay, switching my screen share over to Discord. Again, not affiliated, not endorsed or sponsored, but just for funsies. Oh, I did the wrong share. So good at tech, she says, right? Okay, Discord. And I generated this image for you all yesterday when I was getting prepped here. So I just literally said it's Small Business Week, and this is what it gave me. And so this is a random image created by AI. So once you have Midjourney in Discord, and there's guides on the Midjourney website how to do this, there's also a ton of other AI tools. The way it works for Midjourney is you type /imagine, and then you type your prompt. So, all right, let's see what we got. We got a panda. What's it doing? What's the panda doing? At Woodstock. Okay, panda making sushi at Woodstock in the 1960s. Is that when Woodstock was? I feel like it was the 70s. All right, whatever. It's AI. It'll do whatever we say. In acrylic or I'm just going to say acrylic pour background because I feel like it's going to really mess up the image with acrylic pour. I don't know how it's going to do it, but we're going to go ahead and see. All right, let's do 1969. Somebody here knows. 1969. An acrylic pour background aesthetic. Okay, let's see what happens. All right, so these take a little bit of time, and what it's kind of doing right now is it's going through a process of like diffusion. So if you can imagine like, the static on your TV, it's kind of going and starting from that, and then it's going to go ahead and start generating. So it's at 10% right now. It used to show a preview as it was doing this, but I think that people got a little nervous about it. Once it gets like 90%, you're like, what is it? But it's slowly kind of putting the little pixels together in a way that's going to satisfy all of the things that we put into the prompt. So yeah, it's starting to come together now at 45, 50%. And it's giving us 4 options the way that this works. And so we can choose any one of these options, and we can vary or upscale any of these options. So here is our Woodstock panda making sushi with acrylic pour. We asked for a lot here, not seeing a lot of Woodstock, but sure. So if there's, I know that poor panda, if there's any that we like here, you can upscale any of them, or you can make variations on any ones of these. So this is just an example. It's a fun tool to play with. There is a general channel for Midjourney as well that most of you probably start off with, and it's got a bunch of beginner areas. And you'll just see right now there's constantly tons of people just generating images. Like every few seconds, there's new images popping into the Discord. We have our own little space, so it's a little bit quieter in here, but yeah, we've used this to generate some stuff for like our blog, and you can see some of the stuff that our team has gone through to come up with images. And there's even a really cool new tool that I just found out about. So once you upscale one of these, you get these options for the one that you wanted to upscale. So you can zoom out, it'll create more background. You can vary strong or subtle. And then there's this new one, I'm just going to honestly play with this for the first time ever, where you can vary the region. And so you drag to select the area, and like, I want this coffee cup to change. And then it'll go ahead and vary that image, and it'll just be that one section that's pretty varied. So this is, again, new stuff since I last used it, and it's constantly evolving. And there's things like, if you see V6 here, there's all kinds of parameters that you can add for if you want a certain aspect ratio. There's a ton of prompt advice out there on how to get really cool stuff out of Midjourney. In fact, I generated the logo for my husband's business, starting with Midjourney and then moving to some tools to create a vector image out of it. So there you go. We got a different coffee cup taking shape here. The logo, it's not a panda, but it should be. I don't know why, but that would be great. So there you go. We've got different coffee cups to choose from. I like the one with the saucer. Okay, so I'm going to move on because I know we're running out of time, and I want to make sure there is time for Q&A. Boop, boop, boop. Next piece of the demo. Jeffrey, let me know if I'm missing anything good in chat, because I'm just like, I'm on a roll. All right, last demo. This is a AI experiment by Google, and it's called AutoDraw, autodraw.com. I'm actually just going to go through the fast how-to just to show you all. So you can just literally doodle anything, and it's going to come up with icons. You can use a draw tool, you can choose colors, you can add text. Actually, that's quite new, shapes, and you can fill things too and move things around. And then once you're done, you can download the PNG and you've got your icons. So I'm just going to do a little scribble, and you can see it's got a ton of different icons here that I can just sort through that it thinks my scribble look like. So what do you guys think I should draw? Make it easy. I don't know how to start a new one, actually. So undo, 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 undo. A window cleaning service. Oh, Lordy. Okay. Thanks, Jeffrey. That's so easy. Oh my gosh. That's a weird icon, dude. All right, here's my guy. And he's squeegeeing the window. Here's his little bucket. Oh my gosh. Nope, not even close. This is like the new Pictionary, you guys. Like, I want this tool on my team. All right. Not seeing anything even remotely window cleaning related here, but hopefully if you're drawing this, skills are better than mine, you can get something a little out of this. And then yeah, there's a ton of little tools here too. I probably should have started with some shapes. This poor little dude. You can move him around, put him in a little box. There you go. Done. Auto draw. Whee. There you go. And then so you can, yeah, take any of these tools, any of these things, and export them as little icons. And now you got icons for your website, for social, whatever you want. So it's fun. And just another example of AI and image recognition, image generation, and kind of where things are going. All right, I think that is the end of all my demo bits. So next we're going to move on to how does this stuff even work, right? Like, how is this happening? So I find that AI art is the best sort of example to kind of think through how it's working. So imagine you have a ton of images of dogs and they're all labeled dog. They're also labeled with everything else that's recognizable in the image. So there's setting, the type of dog, the color of the dog, everything. All these images are intensely labeled, and this is a huge process to create this training data set. But you imagine there's thousands of these dog images. And now I show AI a picture of a dog, and it's like, cool, I am 87% sure this is a dog, 29% sure it's a cat, and 0.3% sure it's a fish, right? So it's kind of making guesses and giving you a score into how similar it is to its training set. But from this, you can say, okay, make me a dog. And this is outdated, but this is the old DALL-E 2, what it generated versus Midjourney. And you can see right here that the training data sets are very different, where Midjourney is trained on a ton of very artistic image styles, where DALL-E was trained on more realistic image styles. Without prompting anything else, I just said, make me a dog, just dog. So that's how training data works and is able to produce output based on what it knows. Now, when you think about large language models or LLMs, this is your typical ChatGPT and all the other stuff that's really exciting about generative AI right now. The data set might be the entire internet, probably, specific sections, like some are more focused on academic papers, some have entire books and everything, huge libraries of text. It's in terabytes and terabytes of data. And then there's a pre-processing step where the data is fine-tuned. We remove irrelevant data or inappropriate things and really train the model based on the labeling for all of that text. Then you can say, okay, generate some text for me, and it goes back to that data set and understands based on the labels how it should predict the next word. And it does this so quickly. It can translate, it can summarize, it can answer questions. You can ask it to create a poem in the style of Kendrick Lamar and Shakespeare at the same time, and it'll do its best to get as close to that percentage of score of similarity based on its training data set. So that's kind of the Cliff's Notes version of how generative AI really works. And this is why they update their models so constantly. And there's sort of a race with all of these big tech companies to produce the best models. And some of them are even now open source. Meta AI just released theirs based on their Llama model, which is open source, meaning that people can contribute to it, which is really exciting. Like I said, we're in the baby days of generative AI, and it's a super exciting field. All right, next we're going to move on to some tips. So Jeffrey did throw the link already to our prompt library where you can find this linked, but I was going to show the cool feature in Gamma where it just opens up. We do have this cheat sheet, which has sort of like, oh, maybe I should have opened it in a new tab. Let's try refreshing you. There are some tips for how to construct a prompt. Again, this is a bit outdated since we've now removed a lot of these variables, and we've just asked it to produce a question at the end that should give you lots of questions to answer. And then we've got some examples of tools that we recommend here. Some tips for text prompts. So things like, let me make this a little bigger, y'all. Be super detailed. The more specific you can, the better. My favorite way to use ChatGPT and those types of tools is to just free write like 1,000 words, like or whatever's on my brain, I just dump it. Don't worry about spelling. Don't worry about sentence structure. Just put all the context in there and make sure that you're giving all that context to your assistant. Give the AI a role. That can be really helpful because it says, okay, let me look at my training data set and see what a social media specialist would do in this situation. Giving it a goal and examples for the outcome is really helpful. You can, like I said, say, I want a table, I want a diagram. Specify who the intended audience is for. Is it just an answer for you, or are you generating content for a specific target market? Because again, it will pull what it knows about that market. You can also reply and adjust things. You can use a lot more variables, and you can iterate and build on your previous chats. And for visual prompts, we went over some of this with the Midjourney demo, but you can think about the environment, the style, the texture, the lighting, the emotion. People who are already well-versed in like photography, for example, are really great at prompting AI art tools to come up with really amazing looking images. By adding words like cinematic and stuff like that, you can come up with some really cool stuff, and highly recommend you look at the showcases for Midjourney and other AI art tools to see what other people are prompting. Although sometimes it can be very simple. It all depends on the training data of the tool you're using. And then again, just covering, the same risks and limitations that we talk about. And I'm glad this was mentioned here. Maybe Jeffrey, you can pull up the link for our Substack. We do a weekly-ish newsletter for AI tips. And we also have a monthly newsletter of the best we're putting out on our GoDaddy Resources blog. All right, next little bit of info would be the smallbusinessprompts.com. Jeffrey's on it with the links already. And then also just want to shout out to GoDaddy.ai. This is our webpage for GoDaddy, which talks about just everything GoDaddy is doing with AI. So we've recently launched GoDaddy Arrow, an amazing intelligent solution to help connect business owners with generative AI solutions. So you can use AI to search for a domain. The AI domain search is a lot of fun if you don't know what your business is going to be called. And then from the prompt and from the information, we can generate a ton of stuff for your business. So we're integrating Arrow into a lot of different things. It's super exciting time at GoDaddy. So definitely check out this page and keep up to date. We're constantly updating this page with the things that we're doing regarding, Arrow and how we are integrating it into all of our tools. There's also a ton of demos on our YouTube channel. All right, I think with that, we've reached the end of my talk. So we've got some time for questions. Whew, there's a lot. I'm going to jump on to the Q&A section here if I can find it. I don't know if Jeffrey has any queued up for me. There's my buddies. Hello.
Hello. We got that taken care of. Oh, Alycia, thank you so much. I wrote so much down. I learned so much during this presentation, and not for nothing,
Cool.
I like lost myself in that draw a design and create a logo kind of thing. I could spend hours doing that.
Yeah.
But it's very clearly an amazing tool. You know a lot about it, which is awesome. I have a few questions for you. Anyone, if you have questions that come up while I'm asking these, please feel free to drop them in the chat. Alycia, I had a bunch of them and you answered them while you were talking because you covered so much. One of the things that I see, and I love how enthusiastic you are about AI. I think that's such a healthy approach to have on it. There are lots of people who have a very different idea of AI and a very different idea of what it's going to do. And there's a lot of fear mongering around it. And, there's obviously there's reality to any technology shift, any, big shift like this. Things do change. But I'm curious to know, in knowing how excited you are about this and how much people in general, let alone big companies like GoDaddy are going in on this. What do you say to people who naysay AI because they're afraid of it? And then what's something you say to naysayers who just don't understand it? And I understand that a lot of those are probably the same person, but I have to imagine there's intention behind it that's very different.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll just start by saying, this is my personal opinion, so not on behalf of GoDaddy or anything.
Oh, of course. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, of course. So my personal opinion is kind of twofold. They're kind of contradictory. Like, as much as I'm excited about it, my background is in cybersecurity, and so I'm also terrified.
Yeah,
Because
totally.
it's going to produce changes in the way we do things. So for every role that gets eliminated by AI, there's going to be a new one created. And we're going to see work shift like we always do whenever there's, improvements in industrial processes or new technologies. There's been panics like this throughout history when cars are going to destroy us. Like, what about all our horses? Like, horses are fine. They're doing great. But on the other hand, I do understand that there's going to be a lot of concerning things when it comes to malware and phishing scams. Like, you think you can, spot a scam now, it's going to get a lot trickier.
Yeah.
One of the things that I've seen that's a great piece of advice is to, talk to the people you're closest to and have some kind of secret code words so that if you ever get a phone call and it sounds like them on the other end of the line, this is already happening. I live in Canada, and the CBC News did a story on a woman in Saskatchewan who got a call from her grandson. It wasn't her grandson. I mean, there were still some things that were iffy about that scenario. Like, nobody from the FBI or the government or whatever is going to call you and ask you to transfer Bitcoin to or take out some Walmart gift cards to pay.
Okay, grandma. Okay, grandma.
But these kinds of things are going to become more sophisticated. And so making sure that, you have a way of validating the identity of people, that one probably scares me the most, honestly. But I would say, we are going to have to rise to the occasion. Cybersecurity is always a cat and mouse game. In terms of the job market, I'm really confident that there's going to be new amazing careers created. And I read a book recommended by somebody at GoDaddy a number of years ago on AI superpowers about China and how they've been adopting AI. And at the end of the book, this person who's been working in tons of major tech companies on AI for years and years and years and is from China, where AI is integrated into government and everything. At the end of the book, he gets cancer. And he realizes that he lost all this time with his family, and he'd been working and hustling so hard, and he realizes that the one thing computers will never do is be able to love. This goes back to the emotional intelligence point. A lot of the careers that involve working with people are going to be even more important in the future. And if AI can help take care of some of the peskier things that we have to deal with and can be seen as an assistant for us, I think that's going to be helpful. I absolutely recommend for people who are, not sure about it, that they look for information and they try to understand the opportunity. because it is going to give people an edge. And so that's
Yeah.
one of the reasons why I know we're passionate at GoDaddy about making sure we provide access to this without it having to be like, I need my API key and how do I fine tune this RAG model? And like, you know, like you don't have to get into like the crazy developer side of things.
Oh,
And
yeah.
over the course of the next few months and years, I'm sure there's going to be a lot more access to education and it's going to get made more available to folks. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's, thank you for that answer. I think it's like, again, it's both very optimistic and very real. Forgive me, my allergies are having their way with me today. I am so sorry, you guys. It was
Only
fine
AI can
all
help
day.
with that.
Here, you know what? AI might not be able to love, but you know what AI doesn't have? Issues with pollen. They just don't. So again, who is the superior species? But it is so interesting to hear you talk about that because like, you know, again, AI, you think of anything on a macro scale and it's kind of spooky, but then I sit here and what I really like about ChatGPT is you can kind of stumble through your humanity with it. Like I'll put in things that's just like, please write a response to someone who I believe is very important, but I'm not totally sure. Like I can put something really kind of like very vague and very human in that, and they will come back with like, here's like a safe thing to say. So it's a really nice, as Marcia was saying a bunch, and you said this too, is it's not about copy paste. The people who use AI to copy paste are the ones who are not actually using the tool and they're not going to get anywhere with it. Being able to use it as inspiration to help make that human element better is just like how cars help humans move faster. Like it's not going to like, you know, replace walking, but it is certainly going to make things easier.
We've been playing around a lot with editing our content with AI. We don't like to generate our content as much as possible, but you know, asking it, hey, read this. I want to enhance my brand tone of voice, or I want to check it for any factual inaccuracies. Like pull out the sentence, tell me what is wrong or what you would fix, and then give me an example of how you'd rewrite it. And that's such a cool way to work with content. Yeah, no, I'm super.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about like reverse engineering, like the way that you can even use this. Like it's not, you know, it is, there's, Adam said this, like there really is no end to this. It seems like this is just something you can really run away with. And as the tools get more and more sophisticated, there will only be more things that we're able to do with it. So you kind of, my other question was about safety tips and you went over that already because you talked about cybersecurity. So I guess the next question I have for you is, as far as like AI goes for business, how do you feel are the best ways people can go about learning AI literacy? You dropped a lot of tools, a lot of references, a lot of resources, but I'm thinking people like my parent at the Apple store who is there being like, I don't even understand my parents are very, very smart. My parents are not the ones who went to the Apple store. But this idea that my mother could probably use a trip or two to the Apple store. But understanding the real scope of this technology and people who are just like, no, I'm not even thinking that far ahead. What is a very basic use for this? What would you say would be a great touch point for someone who's completely ignorant to AI and isn't even interested in, and is really just trying to figure out what is this and how do I know not to be afraid of this? Forgive me if that's a bit of a vague question or if it's too close to the last one we asked.
So it's interesting you asked this because I was just telling our team, like, we need like an AI 101 and then like an advanced AI sort of guide. We do have a ton of content on the GoDaddy side. We're honestly trying to be trailblazers here because of the fact that there's not a lot out there. AI is still to me something that is for early adopters at this stage, generative AI specifically. So that's why we try to do these sorts of office hours, webinars with GoDaddy. In terms of other places that are doing this, I know SBA did a webinar around this time last year to introduce people to AI. So I imagine they have some other resources, but I can't point to anyone in particular that I would show people because honestly, what I'm consuming is probably a little bit more for advanced knowledge.
No, of course.
Elevator theory I learned about where like if you're at the top of your field, like it's a long way down the stairs to talk to somebody who's in the lobby. But for me, I'm like, you know, a couple floors up. So I feel like it's easier for me to explain it. I'm definitely not an expert. And so there's going to be more and more people, I think, that are going to provide access to this sort of education. I will say that one of our colleagues, her son is 11 years old and is learning it in school already. So it really depends on, where you go to school. And like,
The next question I had, Alycia, was like, where do you see this going in the next 10 years?
Yeah.
And obviously it's already in the schools, which I think makes a lot of sense. Like it's very, we knew this was coming. We knew this was something you're going to have to know how to use. Like this is true for all of us. Like this is going to become, and even like in answering that last question, the answer is this is still in its infancy. This is still in such infancies that there is no 101 because it's still sophisticated.
The 101 changes every other week.
Exactly. Even in its most basic, it's still not like, and it's still something you have to learn how to use. It's still a tool you have to learn how to use. So I want to hear you answer that question. We got a 5-minute left, so we'll make this the last question. But where do you see AI going in the next 10 years? Where do you see it? Obviously for small business owners, but even just in everyday life, how do you see AI becoming something that we learn to implement to make us better business owners, to make us better entrepreneurs, to make us enjoy our free time more? What are you thinking?
Well, I think we're already seeing it by the fact that every tool that you use is integrating AI. Like GoDaddy's not the only ones out there like trying to put it into tools, right? And
I open Instagram on the search bar in Instagram. It's right there.
My husband is playing with it. He's not a technical person, but it's being made more accessible by integrating with tools we already use. And I think it's going to very quickly become that like saying like, we have AI is going to be like, so what? Because probably younger generations are going to be like, why wouldn't you integrate it? And I know a couple of people had asked about the difference between like AI versus generative AI. There are a number of different types of AI. Generative AI means it's producing something from a training set. So it's like brand new original content that was created with context. In the same way, sort of our human brains work. We take in all this inspiration and then we produce and create. And so it's not quite the AI of like a Terminator 2, like Skynet type stuff. We're not there yet.
I know you were talking about how AI can't love. And I was like, am I the only one who's seen Will Smith's iRobot? Because if there's anything we know about Will Smith's iRobot, it's that they can love. It just takes time. It just takes one, Alycia. It just takes one.
We're not at the singularity yet, Jonathan, but I'm here for what we do. But actually, Jeffrey and I just recorded a course on generative AI for small business. A lot of it we covered today, but it's going to be coming out hopefully in the summer or the fall.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, so I think it's a 7-lesson series, and each lesson is like 5 minutes or less. So stay tuned on our YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Everyone keep an eye out for that. Oh, that's so exciting. I had no idea you were doing that. Well done, you two. Oh, good. And that was great. Amy, that was a great question. I'm so glad you got to that. I'm so glad you saw that, Alycia.
Yes.
Okay, well, I think we'll probably wrap it up here. Thank you all so much for taking the time to hop on the call today and listen to Alicia's presentation. Alycia, thank you so much for putting together an amazing presentation. In the time we have remaining, if you could let us know whether it's working at GoDaddy or your own personal thing, what is something coming up? What's a project you're working on or something you're excited about? And then if people want to connect or follow you or learn more from you, how can they go about doing so?
I mean, right now, I'm just excited about all the Small Business Week presentations we have coming up for the rest of the week. Honestly,
it's so cool. Yeah, I'm having so much fun. This is great.
Yeah, I mean, we have a ton of cool stuff. I am so blessed we have an amazing team. And so there's a ton of stuff. I can't even choose one thing, but yeah, all of this work. We're doing some really cool summer campaigns, summer camp for entrepreneurs leading up to World Entrepreneur Day, but join our LinkedIn community. You can connect with me on LinkedIn or you can find me almost everywhere at Art Deco Tech.
Fabulous. Well, thank you so much, Alycia. You guys, thank you all so much for joining today. And for those of you who made it to both sessions today, thank you so much. Johnny was awesome this morning. Alycia was awesome this afternoon. I am satiated with knowledge. If you're available, we would absolutely love for you to continue to join us on the series this week. Tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern, we have Adam Griggs, which all of you know, Adam Griggs, the one, the only. We all want to hear from Adam Griggs. So at 10 a.m. Eastern tomorrow, make sure to hop on and tune in. And then tomorrow afternoon, we're going to be hearing from Patrick Kagan. Again, we have an all-star lineup. So thank you again so much for tuning in. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your evening. And thanks again so much.